Okay, good evening. So today we will discuss the questions which have been asked in the test series, that is the first test. So there are 10 questions in the beginner stage 2 and the escalator program. So we will discuss the question, and in this question what I am trying to make here is you already have model answer. So you can read that. But in this class we will just try to figure out that what are the points which can be mentioned and how it can be mentioned. So this is the basic idea of this class. Okay. So now the very first question is, discuss the similarities and the difference between the Chalcolithic and the Harappan period. So here what you can do in your introduction, that you can highlight the period of Chalcolithic and Harappan period. So it is a 10 marker question, so you don't need to focus more on maintaining the relation between the Harappan and the Chalcolithic. What most of the students have done, they have tried to establish the link between the Harappan and the Chalcolithic. But that is also fine, that's not an issue. But that is more appropriate if the question is asked in 15 marker. Because in 10 marker, you will have to introduce in 3 lines maximum. Okay. After that, there is 2 things, that is similarities and differences. So basically, in similarities, you cannot have tabular representation. You cannot have tabular representation. In similarities, it is always better to mention in the points. So basically, whenever we are talking about the Chalcolithic and the Harappan period, so similarities in the terms of, you can see that what kind of occupation they had. What kind of occupation they had. Then you can think from the perspective of what kind of religion do they follow. Then you can talk about that whether they were aware about the metals or not. So basically in the similarities you will have to highlight the points. Okay. But in the differences, again I will say that the same thing that is about the metals and all. क्या तुम्हारा अलग है क्या तुम लोग का? ठीक है ना? तो इतने सस्पिशियस नजर से देखे तो मुझे लगा क्या हो गया. So basically in the terms of differences, most of the students have again started writing in the points. So again that is not bad. Okay, that is fair enough. But whenever you are writing, then basic you will have to mention the element of differences. In the element of differences, for example, you can talk about the pottery, that what kind of pottery the people in the Chalcolithic and the people in the Harappan culture were using, what kind of metals they were aware about. Then you can talk about the trade. The Chalcolithic people do not have a trade contact, but the Harappan have a trade contact. With example, Iran, Afghanistan, even in the case of Rajasthan, that is the Khetri mines, they were importing the copper. In Afghanistan, they have a trading post or the trading colony, and they were, because of this trading colony, they were establishing the trade links with the Central Asian countries also. So here, what you can do, you can mention that India Chabahar port is also an extension of the understanding of the Harappan period. Because why we are developing Chabahar port? We are developing Chabahar port to establish the linkages with the Central Asian countries. Okay. So basically this 1 point or 2 point in your answer can bring a difference in the marks. Clear? Now differences, again you can talk about the differences in the terms of art. So in the Chalcolithic period you will not find seals, but in the Harappan culture you will find seals, you will find terracotta. Okay. Then also you can mention the building material. What kind of building material the people in the Chalcolithic period were using and the people in the Harappan period were using. So these are the differences. Now, most of the students have again faced in concluding such questions. So in the conclusion, you can say that both the culture, be it the Chalcolithic or be it the Harappan, so basically they have shown the evolution in the civilization, and that has been the path breaking for the future civilization. Even today, whenever we find during the excavations about the Harappan period, it gives us an idea of urban planning, it gives us an idea of water conservation, it gives us an idea of the globalization also, that during the Harappan period there was a globalization. Then why not in 21st century? So these are the things which can be mentioned in the conclusion. So this one point or this one word in your answer will change the entire understanding of yours in the mind of examiner. So this will be the first question, and you can discuss this question like this. Okay. Now we will move to the second question. Highlight the role of women in 1857 revolt. In this question, I know that you people have lack of knowledge in this question about the name of the women. So basically, whenever you find such kind of question where you have lack of content, then basically you will try to open the dimensions of the question. But before that, you can talk about the introduction. So in introduction, most of the students have written that the women's role has been immense and all. So this is one way of starting the introduction, but I will say that you can start from first war of independence. In first war of independence, women were not the second one to participate. It means that women were at the forefront. Women were not second in their participation. तो वर्ड आप कैसे लिखते हो, क्या स्टाइल है लिखने का, एग्जामिनर को मजा आ गया मान लो पढ़ के, क्योंकि इन द फर्स्ट वॉर ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंस वीमेन वेर नॉट सेकंड इन द टर्म्स ऑफ देयर पार्टिसिपेशन. आफ्टर इंट्रोड्यूसिंग दिस, you already have a content about the Lakshmi Bai, Begum Hazrat Mahal, the tribal women, okay, Kaisar Bai. There were different women who have supported this entire 1857 revolt. So the name is in your model answer, but I am just here to tell you that when you don't know about the role of the women, then you can talk about that how women has helped in communication during the 1857 revolt, that how the intelligence inputs are being communicated by the women, what should be the strategy and how it should be communicated to the other places. It was being done by the women. Women were also working as a ground workers. Here the ground workers means that they were helping in the supply of arms. Okay. Then also you can talk about moral support. Even today, the greatest motivator for the army at the border is his family, and most importantly his wife. Okay. So basically women has always been a motivator at that time also, even today also. Okay. Then also you can talk about providing medicinal facilities. So this has been the role of the women in 1857 revolt. And here what is happening, that you are not attempting this question considering that I don't know the name of the women except Begum Hazrat Mahal and Rani Lakshmi Bai. No matter. If you don't know, then also open the dimension of the question. Now you have a model answer, you can just remember that Okay, and if the question comes like this, then you can easily tackle the question. Now, how you will conclude the 1857 revolt? Tell me, first you tell me that what can be the best conclusion for this question. Tell me. Huh?
It laid the seeds for the Indian freedom struggle.
That is good in conclusion, but that is the conclusion for 1857 revolt. Ha. So you can say that the participation of the women in 1857 revolt was an inspiration for the women's participation in the latter stages of the Indian national movement. Example, सरोजिनी नायडू participated in CDM. वहां पे भर के इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं देना है कि this women has participated in NCM, this women has participated in CDM, this women has participated in QIL, Quit India Movement. No, but you are just giving one name so that the examiner can make a reference of 1857 till 1947. So this is the way of concluding the answers. Fine. Now we will see the next question. Harsa period is an example of transition. Harsa period is an example of transition from ancient to medieval time. How you people have introduced this question? Mention the time period. What was the time period of Harsa? Huh? To 7th century. Okay. So whenever, and also you can say that the Harsa was the last great ruler of the North India who has ruled during the period from 6th to 7th century AD. But the question is that why I am telling that the Harsa period is an example from ancient to medieval times. It simply means that whether do you know about the ancient period of the Harsa or not, it doesn't matter if you know the characteristics of medievalism. Why we are telling that the medieval age has started? What was the feature of the medievalism? Even if you know that, you can easily write this answer. So can you tell me that what is the feature of the medievalism? Language, society. Whenever you say anything about any particular kingdom, whenever you say anything about any particular society even today, okay, the very first thing or the very first characteristic is the social aspect of particular kingdom. Social aspect of a particular kingdom. अभी भी तुम क्या कहते हैं, मतलब whenever we talk about the female feticide, we talk about Haryana. Whenever we talk about the low literacy rate and the high population, we talk about Bihar. So basically, what is it representing? It is representing the social aspect of a particular state. The same thing was at the time of kingdoms. So, social aspect of that time was feudal in nature. Feudal in nature. And feudalism is one of the aspects of the medievalism. So obviously, even if you don't know about what was happening during the Harsa period, obviously this was the thing which was going in that particular kingdom. Second, it was not secular in nature. Not secular in nature. Why it was not secular in the nature? Because of the excessive focus of the Harsa on the Buddhism. And because of that, there has been a struggle. There has been a rise in the struggle because people from the different community were protesting against the Buddhism. So basically, it was not secular in the nature. Then you will say about the economic condition. Economic condition. In Afghanistan, in today, what was the economic condition? Why we say that even today, the Afghan is a story of medievalism in the terms of economy. in the terms of economy, because the trade is closed. In Afghanistan, what they are doing? They do not have the extensive contacts in the terms of trade. Or you can say that the trade during the period of Taliban regime in Afghanistan is very low. That is a sign of medievalism, because whenever there is a liberal society, there will be flow of trade between the countries. The same thing, it was happening during the Harsa period, that the trade has declined. Trade has declined means foreign contact has declined. Foreign contact has declined means that lack of liberalism. It shows that there is a decline in the terms of the economy. Then also you can talk about invasion during the Harsa period. A lot of foreign invasion has happened at the time of Harsa, because Harsa was busy in Buddhism. Okay, so these are the things that reflect that this period was medieval in its nature. तो जानने की जरूरत नहीं है कि हर्षा में क्या था, क्या ट्रांजिशन हुआ, आता है तो आता है, नहीं आता तो नहीं आता है. बट इवन इफ यू नो द मीनिंग ऑफ मेडिवलिज्म, रेनेसेंस से पहले क्या था? रेनेसेंस से पहले तो मेडिवलिज्म था पूरे यूरोप में. So these were the features of the medievalism at that time. The same thing will happen in any kingdom. If I say that there is a character or there is an element of medievalism. आखिर Deccan Sultan, Delhi Sultanate. Why we say that the Delhi Sultanate is an example of the rise of medieval period in the India? It is because of the social repression. It is because of the low economic engagements. It is because of the centralized administration system. It is because of the power is being centralized in the hands of the sultans. Clear? तो यही हर समय भी लिख देना, नहीं आता है तो very simple. The idea of the discussion is not to give you more and more point and more content. It is already in the papers or the discussion paper, whatever we have. It is already mentioned in your model answer. So here we are just to explore that how we can write the answer. Now the next question is of Kusans and Satavahana. So here most of the students have drawn a map. That is the best thing to do here. Whenever you are drawing the map, you are just mentioning the area of Kusan, that where they were ruling, that is in the western and the central India. Then you are talking about the Satavahana also, who were ruling into the Andhra and Maharashtra. Okay, southern kingdom. So yes, you can draw a map there, or you can also draw about the rise of the Kusan and Satavahana with the fall of Maurya, or you can say the latter Mauryan period. Latter Mauryan period. We have seen the emergence of Kusan in the north and the Satavahana in the south, and mention the timeline. Then most flourishing period in the history of craft and. So basically ये किसी ने नहीं किया है. Kusan then talk about their craft and then talk about the commerce. In the craft, if you will see, then the Kusan's craft was influenced by Bactrian kingdom. It was influenced by the Greek kingdom. It was influenced by the Central Asian kingdom. So if you know this, and even if you don't know this, then also you can write your answer. But if you know this, then it will give an impression to the examiner that whatever points you are going to write, that point will come from these three influences on the Kusan kingdom. Then you can talk about from Bactrian kingdom, they knew about what kind of building material they should use. From Greece, you can see the influence on the Gandhara sculpture. You can write 1 and 2 points of Gandhara sculpture here. Okay. Then also you can talk about glass making, craft of glass making. Then you can talk about craft of long coat, overcoat, जिसको कहते हैं आज. So these are the crafts where the Kusans were expert. Commerce. If I need to talk about the commerce, then I can talk about their foreign contact with the Roman Empire. They were importing something and they were exporting something. So that's basically they were exporting silk, timber, and they were importing gold, silver. And therefore you will see that at the time of Kusan there is a more number of gold coins in case of India. Then they were also doing brick trade. Brick trade. Along the sea coast of Mediterranean Sea, Oxus and the Euphrates. These are the three places where they were doing it. So you will have to segregate in the terms of presentation. Then, now if you want to talk about the Satavahana, again the same thing. You need to talk about the craft. You need to talk about the commerce. So in commerce, nobody has written about the guild. Srenis, we were talking about the guilds. Then you can talk about the port at Pathan, at Nasik, at Tagar. They have 3 different ports. Then they were also doing trade with the Roman kingdom. This is about the craft. Then, this is about the commerce. Then about the craft. They were the people who knew about the paddy transplantation. Then they knew about the coins which was released. Tell me what kind of coins Satavahana were releasing. Copper, lead, poteen. Then they were materialistic. Therefore, they were using perforated tiles in their houses. So these were the crafts of the Kusan, of the Satavahana period. Clear? So in this way you can, and now how you will conclude this question? How you will conclude this question? Again, conclusion should be futuristic in the nature. That whenever you are writing answer on the Kushan and the Satavahana, you should conclude so that it gives a reflection of the later kingdoms. About the craft and commerce, for example, you are talking about. So you can say that even today, Gandhara, Amravati, Nagarjunakonda is known for the mighty architecture which we have. And now today it has turned into a tourist places also. And it gives us an understanding of the ancient way of life. Clear? So this is the way through which you can conclude your. Now we will move to the next question. Question number 5. So here I will just talk about what you people have done. You people have started talking about, yes, if there would have been Mughal Empire, then there is a chance of, or if there was a Mughal Empire, there was a chance of industrial revolution. And you are mentioning 3 or 4 points. Then you are talking about the issues with the Mughal Empire, and then you are telling that no, Mughal Empire cannot be a hub for the industries. So basically what you are doing, you are mentioning both the sides of the coin, as you are habitual of doing this. 4 points positive, 4 points negative. But you have not understood the demand of the question. Question is telling justify your point. So you cannot write both the sides of coin here. you will have to write either do you agree that during the period of Mughal there was a chance of industrial revolution or not. So basically you can write in positive or you can write in negative terms only. If you want to write in the positive terms, then you can talk about the GDP of that period. Economic 40% of the GDP. At the time of Akbar also we have seen that it was approximately 25-26%. Then you can talk about their expertise in textile, handicraft, handlooms. Then also you can talk about that their Persian contacts. Because of the Persian contacts, there was a chances of more and more trade across the world. So in this way you can say that yes, there was a chance, but you can also say that no, there was not a chance that the time of the Mughal there is a chances of industrial revolution. No. Then you can talk about later Mughals. Or also you can say that during the Mughals, later Mughals मतलब after Aurangzeb. Okay, so after Aurangzeb सब मस्त थे. Okay, अशरफी से फुर्सत नहीं था इन्हें. Okay, then you can talk about luxurious life. शैंपेन पे शैंपेन चल रहा है. Okay, then you can talk about breakdown and loss of control of the Mughal Empire. Example, Hyderabad, Bengal. Then you can talk about entry of Britishers as a trader turning into a ruling. During the Mughals also you can talk about the repressive policies of Aurangzeb, Jajia and all. He was, or Akbar, Jahangir more interested in art, painting. जो आदमी पेंटिंग बना रहा है वो कहां से इंडस्ट्री के बारे में सोच पाएगा. ओके, तो मतलब मेरा है, मतलब माई पॉइंट इज, would India have continued to progress economically and even attend industrial revolution of its own if the Mughal Empire had continued? So as per me no. मेरा अपना है. Okay, as per me no. So I have a point and I am dividing the points. 4, 3, 7 और मैं इसमें तो और लिख सकते हो मुगल का. औरंगजेब लड़ता ही रहता था, डेक्कन पॉलिसी बना रहा है. तो अकबर डेक्कन पॉलिसी बना रहे हैं, शादी करने में बिजी हैं. शादी करोगे तो इंडस्ट्री कैसे बनेगा यार. ठीक है. So these are the things which you can mention. If you are agreeing to the particular statement, then you can talk about their commercial contacts and their items of import and export, their GDP contribution and all. It depends upon you. Okay. Yahan just I am trying to make a point here. Look at the demand of the question. This is very important.
If it was substantial,
then you can write 4 point positive, 4.5 point negative. You can write substantiate, discuss, critically analyze. Then you can write. Clear? So now the next question. The advent of Europeans. यहां पर सेम पॉइंट होगा जो हमने पहले बात किया. कैसे होगा बताओ. The advent of Europeans started from trading and later turned into ruling. Discuss the conditions that make it favorable for them. So some of the students have introduced like this, that the Britishers have ruled over India for the last 200 years and all. The question is not about the Britisher, question is about the European. So basically, in introduction, you can talk about that how the arrival of the Europeans have been started, or you can mention the objective of their coming into India, or you can mention the timeline. Portuguese, Dutch, Danish, French, Britisher, they came for trading. First they set up their industry. Even at the time of Farooq Siyar or at the time of Jahangir, Thomas Roe came into India and he has talked about establishing the trading relation. But later on, with the coming of Robert Clive and all, with the Battle of Buxar and all, the idea of ruling, trading has turned into ruling. So this can be your introduction. इतना बड़ा introduction नहीं होगा, but this is the crux from where you can draw that what can be your introduction. So basically, इतना लिखने के बाद, what is the condition favorable for them? So condition favorable for them, again you can think from 2 points. What was the strength of Britisher and what was the weaknesses of Indian kingdom at that time? I am just giving you that how you should think. A strength of Britisher, then you can talk about that they are very diplomat. Then you can talk about their weapons. और क्या बोल रहे थे तुम? Well disciplined army and all, or well disciplined or able administrator like Robert Clive. These were the strength. And what was the weakness in Indian kingdom? Mughals, fragmented India. Hyderabad has been carved out. King Klich Khan has established Hyderabad a new state, and Muhammad Shah went there to give him Asrafi. क्या काम किए हो तुम? पटक के मारते उस समय मुगल्स तो क्या होता? स्ट्रांग रहता किंगडम. Okay. Likewise, Alivardi Khan in Bengal, he has denied to give a tax to the Mughal Empire, and Mughal Empire were busy. So that was the reason of the weaknesses. At the same time, you can say that there was a rise of Marathas. So Marathas versus Mughal was going on. Marathas versus Mysore was going on. So this was the reason, and that was the conditions favorable for. Understood? How far it is correct to say that the administration of Maratha state under Shivaji was designed similar to the setup of Deccan Sultan? So, how you will introduce this question? हाँ, तो basically Marathas were soldiers. Marathas were soldiers. Here only. Shivaji's father was in the Deccan Sultan, Bijapur, and therefore Shivaji was influenced by the Bijapur kingdom and Malik Ambar of Ahmednagar. And from here, his idea of administration was influenced. And you can see this in central administration of Shivaji. That was based on the system of Ashtapradhan. Then you can talk about that during the Deccan Sultan, so in their kingdom also, there were two people who will not go to the war. That is Pandit Rao and Nyayadhish. The same thing was in the Shivaji administration. Then you can talk about revenue administration. Chauth, Sardeshmukhi, Mirsardars, where the grants of the land were given to them. Then you can talk about Kathi system. That is the system of measurement using rod, Kathi. The same thing was in the Deccan Sultan period, and now it is in the Shivaji administration also. Then you can talk about military administration. The fort, बड़े-बड़े fort और isolated fort. Deccan Sultan have an isolated fort. पता ही नहीं चला कहाँ है. At that time, अब तो तुम लोग ज्यादा के घूम के हर जगह पता है. But at that time, people were not aware about that where the kings were living. Then a strong navy, cavalry, infantry, At the same time, the Marathas army were backed by Pendris, who were plundering the Mughal kingdom. So these are the things you can write in this particular question. अब here there is one thing. Ancient India is known for achievements and in science and technology, which has not its relevance, lost its relevance even today. So I will say that most of the students have talked about ancient India and its achievement. Most of the students have just talked about science and technology. Okay, there are two kinds of students which I have seen. I will say that because of my mistake, both are correct. Why I am telling so? Because if I delete this word and, और ऐसे भी गलती से ही आ गया था, ठीक है, वो तो कहो कि इसका मीनिंग चेंज नहीं हुआ है. If I delete this word and, or in the paper I have deleted this word, actually and was not there, वो गलती से आ गया है. So you will have to write about science and technology. पर अब गलती हो गई है तो उससे तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. So now the question is, ancient India is known for achievements and in science and technology which has not its relevance even today. So now there are two meanings of this question. So first you can talk about ancient India achievements and then you can talk about science and technology separately also. So I will accept this. Okay, तो यहाँ गलत कोई नहीं है, न तुम हो न मैं हूं. You have understood and you have read the question carefully. That impression I have for you. So that's fine. So ancient India is known for achievement, but again presentation matter. Even after knowing about the achievement, you are writing random point. So how you can address this first point? Ancient India is known for achievement. You can talk about the achievement during the Mauryan period, 1 and 2 point. Achievement during the later Mauryan period, achievement during the Gupta period, achievement during the Gupta period, achievement during the Chola kingdom. Ancient India हो गया, is known for the achievement. Achievement एक point लिख दो language का, achievement एक point लिख दो art and culture का, दोनों चारों में. You can write like this, and separately you can talk about science and technology. Here you can talk about astronomy, mathematics, medical, Susrut, Charak Samhita, metallurgy, civil engineering, very good. So these are the things you can write here. And then how it is evident today. Then you can talk about ICBM, Integrated Guided Missile Program, based on Brahmastra system. Then you can talk about Ayush, Ministry of Ayush. Then you can talk about traditional digital knowledge library, where the idea of Charak Samhita is there. That is, the plants have the medicinal value and therefore we need to protect them. So in this way, there are three parts of the question. First part you are addressing, second part addressing, and the third part. Clear? So in this way, you will have to address this. Now, next question is on tribal uprising. देखो, everybody has addressed the demand of the question, but I will tell you that how you can make this question very easy and very comfortable. For example, tribal uprisings, first of all, इसमें map draw करना है, ये याद रखना. So there are, first part, tribal uprising is signified by common characters, but they differ in their own respect. So first of all, you can say the timeline of tribal uprising. तो ट्राइबल अपराइजिंग कब से शुरू हुआ था? पहरिया रिवोल्ट से. पहरिया रिवोल्ट 1774 के आसपास. So tribal uprising have started from there, and you can see the tribal uprising during the Munda period, during the Rampa rebellion, even during the CDM, you can see the tribal uprising, Rani Gedgul. So basically tribal uprising has a very long history. Okay? Now after introducing this, you can say that the tribal movements are of two types: frontier tribal movement and non-frontier tribal. So now the examiner knows that you will talk about the common characteristics and you will make a difference between these two tribal movements. So common characteristic, you can say that common characteristic is violence, common characteristics is common cause, that is entry of the Britishers in their forest land, increasing the land revenue, entry of the moneylenders, zamindars, exploitative demand of the rents. So these are the things which you can mention as a characteristic. Then you can also talk about common element among them is a sense of unity. Is a sense of unity. And then you can make a difference between the frontier and the non-frontier tribal uprising. What was the difference between the two kinds of tribal uprising? For that, again you can draw second map and you can talk about Ahom revolt in Assam. You can talk about all the revolt and their causes in the northeastern part of the. Okay, and you can talk about the reasons for the tribal uprising in the non-frontier, in the central Indian region. Okay? So in this way you can make a difference. So can you tell me what is the difference? What? For demanding autonomy. Okay. So these are the things. Basically in this way you will have to write difference and the similarity. Now how you can conclude this? Even today you will feel that there is a difference in the understanding of the tribals of the northeast and central India. And even today you can see the influence of the Britishers in the form of inner line permit in some of the states. So these are the facts also which can be mentioned in the conclusion. Clear? देखो क्वेश्चन को थोड़ा सा अभी का टिल्ट देना है, अगर दे सकते हो, इफ इट इज पॉसिबल फॉर यू टू गिव द करंट टिल्ट इन द हिस्ट्री पेपर, देन इट विल बी वेरी गुड. ओके, हर जगह इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल टू गिव द प्रेजेंट टिल्ट, बट वेयर एवर इट इज feasible, try to do that. Okay, so now the next question is on colonial structure. Here again I found that some of the students are talking about Indo-Gothic style, क्या क्या बता रहा है मुझे, क्या है, फ्रेंच इंफ्लुएंस, ब्रिटिश इंफ्लुएंस ऑन द स्ट्रक्चर. तो बेसिकली दिस इज नॉट अबाउट द आर्ट एंड आर्किटेक्चर स्ट्रक्चर, दिस इज अबाउट द बेसिक फीचर ऑफ कॉलोनियल स्ट्रक्चर इन इंडिया. So it is not about art and architecture. तुम्हें लगा कि the question is from art and architecture, तो test is on that particular theme, तो question is from there. लेकिन एक दूसरा थीम भी तो था सिलेबस में, that till 1900 the question will be asked. Okay, the basic feature of colonial structure. Here you can define colonialism, that's fine for me, or you can talk about the period of the British rule. Anything you can mention in the introduction. After that, the basic features of the colonial structure. Then the basic feature you can see in the administration. Then you can see in education, filtration theory of maculae. Then you can see judiciary. Then you can talk about Cornwallis Code. Then legal, you can talk about the IPC. Then anything more? Urban planning. Again, colonial structure का मतलब वो नहीं है. Colonial structure का मतलब है कि what was the policy of the Britishers to rule over us. Okay, ये structure वो structure नहीं है. You can talk about divide and rule policy. Whenever they say कि the particular race is more significant for being selected in the army, it simply means that they are creating a race between the two races. Along with this, what Mauryan Empire did in 1909, that is again a kind of divide and rule. Okay, so these are the things which you can mention, that is a basic feature of the colonial structure. Now, how much of this structure is evident even today? So again you can say that most of the provisions have been taken from 1935 Act, Government of India 1935 Act. So obviously it will be evident. Parliamentary system is again evident because it is from the British. Then you can talk about ICS, Indian Civil Service, IPC, CRPC, each and everything you can see, or here you can mention sedition, colonial law. It is evident, but at the same time you are required to mention that okay, everything is fine, but at the same time India has brought a reform, and therefore we cannot say that 100% colonial structure is evident today. There is a reform, and then you can mention the reform in the parliamentary system, where we are bringing changes through rules of procedure of the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Then you can talk about education. We have brought a new education policy and providing education in the mother tongue, which was not possible at the time of Britisher. Then you can talk about anything more which is evident today. Then we are talking about amendment in IPC, Malimat Committee. Then you can talk about committee has been set up under Subramaniam Committee. Under Subramaniam, TSR Subramaniam, a committee has been set up to look into the archaic laws and to repeal those laws. Rajasthan has already repealed many archaic laws. So here you are mentioning three parts. Even the question is not asking for this. You will have to do this because it is a 15 marker question. You will have to show that no, colonial structure is not 100% evident today. Clear? So in this way you will have to address the question. So now basically the idea of discussion is just to tell you that how you can open the dimension of the question rather than giving you content. Content is already prepared by me and it is in the model. So any questions from your side? Because I think I have personally checked your copies. Okay. So that's more than enough for today's discussion. Okay. Thank you.